Oh, today's episode features rare footage of Jack Smith. It's about Jack Smith. It features Mike Pence. We have Donald Trump and the Supreme Court weigh in, all on this MSNBC legal analysts piece of trash show. I'm John Mike Keene. Let's go.
On substance, she appeared to adopt the prosecution's view of how to proceed.
Big surprise. Chutkin adopts the prosecution, that is Trump's enemies. Of course, she adopts it. She's appointed by Obama. She, by default, is going to be helping the prosecution any way she can.
And we may find out later today because she said she intends to enter a scheduling order as soon as today. And of course, the prosecution wants to immediately get to the issue of immunity.
The prosecution wants to speed this thing along because that's what it's always been about. Fast, fast, fast. And Trump's is about slow it down, slow it down, slow it down.
They want each side to craft detailed briefs on the question of what evidence should come in and what should be excluded. And that could include new evidence that the public has never seen, including grand jury testimony and FBI 302 notes and other kinds of things before the election. That'll be in the public record. So that's interesting.
It's not going to happen before the election, guys. If they're opening this thing back up for new evidence, you're looking at 2026 at the earliest. This one's done.
Trump's lawyers took a posture of just wanting to delay, and other motions, they wanted to consider the question of whether Jack Smith was illegally appointed, which in this circuit, the D.C. circuit, that has been roundly rejected, despite what Judge Cannon ruled down in Florida.
Yeah, it's been roundly rejected, but that's only because it's in Washington, D.C. Jack Smith was illegally appointed.
And Judge Chutkin even said scheduling a trial date is going to be useless because anything that happens in this case is going to get appealed to the Supreme Court.
And that's the best news of all. No matter what happens that's decided in this case, this gets appealed straight up to the Supreme Court. That's either side. So Trump's going to get some protection from our people. Clarence Thomas, the guy who's probably saving the DNA of the United States of America, and along with Sam Alito, some of the conservatives, this goes up to the Supreme Court. And we've got at least 6 of the 9.
What special counsel Jack Smith did was kind of genius.
That's the first time Jack Smith's ever been used in the same sentence as genius.
Which is he went and he sought this superseding indictment, and it had 2 purposes. One was to try to streamline the process so that he could get this decision as quickly as possible.
Streamlining this is not a sign of genius because he only just now streamlined it. If he was a true genius, he would have started with a streamlining over a year ago, and this thing would be done. He'd have gotten his wish with the Trump indictment that came through guilty. But because he's not a genius, he's slow, he's amateurish, he has no vision. He only just now streamlined the indictment. Now, if he was a genius, you'd have done this already. Slow Jack Smith. Gonna lose.
Well, and the other was to interpret the Supreme Court decision about immunity and obtain an indictment that was in line with his interpretation of what that opinion meant.
That's some rare video right there. It does not matter what Jack Smith, who's illegally appointed, what his interpretation means. It goes right back up to the Supreme Court. They'll tell you what the interpretation is, Jack. That's their job.
So much of this hearing centered on the conversations that Donald Trump had with Vice President Pence and whether those are immune. Trump's team argues they are immune, and that if those conversations are not a part of this case, the whole thing falls apart. Obviously,
they're immune. The whole case falls apart. That's because Mike Pence, being independent and doing what he did against Trump, proves they were not conspiring, proves that Trump did not have the power they're accusing him of. Trump's going to win this thing hands down.
The special counsel argues differently. They believe it is outside the purview of official acts. And they it's an argument that they're going to make. It might not win.
You know what? When MSNBC says it might not win, they're telling you it's the long shot of long shots. They're telling you without telling you that this is a very hard case to win, if not impossible.
If the Pence stuff ends up being stricken from the indictment, do they still have a case?
I think they have a hard case if it ends up getting stricken. I mean,
it's going to get stricken. They have a hard case. Trump wins. Mike Pence off the hook. Even if Trump does get nailed on it, goes up to the Supreme Court. This is all good news, guys. You should be happy about this. Jack Smith crying in his soy milk. I'm John Mike Keene.